let's just get started then. Uh,
Cool.
are there any topics that you want to hit or don't want to hit today?
Not really. I
Okay.
don't have a preference.
Okay.
I think last time was pretty good question.
Okay. I think we can keep it up in that kind of level then. Okay. So, welcome to today's mock. Today, let's do a question I like asking a lot because I think it's really fun. And I don't think I've asked it to you yet, but if I have, let me know.
Oh,
It is k nearest points to origin. Have you heard of that one?
uh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. So I think this would be a good
K
question to work through.
nearest points.
To origin.
Okay.
So the problem statement is pretty simple actually. You are to write a function, and the function is to take in a list
Okay.
of points. Okay. And also taking a number k. So it takes in a list of points and a number k. It's an integer k. And you are to return
Okay. Okay.
the k closest points to the origin.
Okay. What is the origin in this case? Is it just 0, 0?
So yeah, so it would be 0.
Okay. So, like, wait, when you say list of points, you mean like coordinate points, right?
Yeah, it could be coordinate points. It could be
Okay.
whatever. I mean, it could be like, let's just say pairs.
Okay. Like, also integers, right?
Not necessarily.
Oh, how would they not be integers? Oh, like they could be like floats, like
Yeah, they
decimal
could be.
values.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Let me think. So, how would we compute the closest or like the distance between? Would it be like the what is it called? Like the Pythagorean distance when you like do like x squared plus y squared square root over that?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that
Yeah.
how you calculate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I guess like what we can do is compute that distance for each of the points and then sort the distances and then
Okay.
return the first k points in that list.
Okay.
Okay. Um, okay, let me think of an example. So, like, let's say we're given 1, 1. Can we have duplicate points in our input?
Yeah, you can. Yep.
Okay. And in that case, do we want to return like the same point twice?
Not necessarily. I mean, for example, if you have two one ones and the k was 1, you would just
Yeah.
return 1 1.
Okay. But like what if the K was 2?
Well, then you would just return 1 1 and 1 1.
Okay. Okay. I see. Wait, but like what if we had more than 2 points? Like let's say there's 1, 2. Like do we want to return the K closest points that are unique or just the K closest points
Just
in
the k
general?
closest. Yeah, it doesn't need to be unique. Just the k closest. So in this case, it would still be
Okay.
the two one ones. Yeah.
Okay. So it'll be given as like a list of points.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I can compute the like Pythagorean distance. I don't know if that's what it's called, but for each of the points, so it would be like one, like square root 2.
Uh huh.
I'll just put 2 for now, and then 2, and then like square root 3, and then I can sort the list in ascending order. Well, in this case, it's already sorted, but
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't sorted, then I would sort it, and then I would just return like the first 2 points of
Okay.
the list.
Okay. I like that general
Okay.
framework. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Did I start doing that?
Sure. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Okay. 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 Nearest points. We'll take in points and A. Okay. So I'm gonna have a list of distances, and then I'm going to say for each of the points, so like x, y, and points, then I want to compute your distance. Like, uh, is this a function?
I think it's math dot square root.
I need to import math.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, like, I need to store the distances in the list, but I also need to store the point that it maps to, because in the end, we want to return the list of points.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
okay. I will append a tuple, maybe. It'll be like the distance and then the actual point that it maps to. Okay, and then after that, I want to sort this in ascending order. Um, and then I want to return the first k values.
Mm-hmm.
So, wait, let me think. How am I going to return it? I want to return it as a list of points, but right now it looks something like this. It's like a list
Yeah.
of tuples.
Yeah.
So I need to extract the points. I can just create a new list and be like Rai in range. Okay. And then the I'm gonna append that one. That makes sense.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So I'm gonna iterate through k times, and then I'm appending the second value of the tuple,
Mm-hmm.
which is the point, and then I'm gonna return it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Do you want to walk through the
Could
example you
we
had? Just
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let's do a quick
Okay,
example.
sure. Okay, so um, I'm going to use this as my input, and then I'm going to be looping through each of the points, and then I'm going to be computing the distance, and then I'm going to append it to our list. So it'll be like square root 2, and then the 0.11, and then it'll be like the same for the next one, and then the same for this one. And then I'm going to sort it in ascending order, so it'll look the same after this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I'm going to build my result list, which will be like 1, 1, 1, 1, since k is equal to 2. And then I'm just going to return this as a list.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, looks good to me. Let's do a quick little time space analysis, please.
Okay. I think so. I think like these loops run in O of n time, or like this one is O of n because I'm looping through all the points in the input.
Yeah.
And then this is O of k because I'm iterating k times. And then the sorting will be n log n.
Mm-hmm.
So the time complexity will be O of n log n.
Yep.
And then space complexity will be O of n because I need to store n values in the distances array.
Yeah.
And then for the result array, that will be of size k.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I think that's a pretty solid first pass. Let's go back again and
Okay.
look at how we can potentially improve this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I think the first thing we might notice is that none of the time and space complexity, it seems to depend on k. Okay. And that seems to
Yeah.
imply that we don't care about k when doing our operations, right? And that might be right, but in this case, I'm telling you, there might be some improvement we can have with regards to considering k, right? So that might
Mhm.
mean we might not need to have all in distances in the array. We might not need to sort
Yeah.
all in
Yeah.
distances, right? Like if you think about it,
Right.
I mean, it is true that we'll need to use at least O of k space to to have the output, right? Like so that makes sense. So that's like a lower bound, right? But like,
Mhm.
what can we improve on that front? So do you have any ideas, that we can think about there?
Yeah. Like we could use a heap
Mm-hmm.
potentially to store at most k values in the heap.
Okay.
So like the top of the heap would be um like the maximum distance or like yeah, like the largest distance we've seen so far, and then as we're iterating through the points and computing their distances, if we get a smaller distance, then we can pop from the top of the heap and add that distance into the
Mm-hmm.
heap.
Okay.
So we can limit the size of the heap to be k,
Yep. I like that.
and then yeah.
Okay, let's try to
Okay.
implement that one. Yeah. So let's just implement a new function below that,
Okay.
and then go from there.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna have a heap. Mm, Let me think how this works. So by default, like Python has min heaps. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna store the values as negative, I think, because I want to have the largest value at the top so I can pop from the top when I see a smaller value.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay, I'm gonna have like this logic for computing like the distance. Oops. Okay, let me think. So after I compute the distance, I need to check if there's space in my heap. So I want to be like, if the length of my heap is, if it's less than k, then I can just append it to my heap. So it'll be like heap cube, heap push, and then I need to pass in my heap and the distance. Okay. But if we have k elements, then I need to check if the current distance is smaller than the top of the heap. Right? So if distance is, wait, if distance is greater than heap at 0, then I want to pop from the heap. Pop. Okay. And then at the end, oh, wait, I need to append the distance, but also the point, because I need to still access the point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. And then I think I can just use the same logic for extracting the points into a list. Mm, yeah. Wait, actually, uh, it'll be like heap off. Well, let me go through this to see if this makes sense. So if we use like the same example,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So I'm computing the distance and then I'm checking if the heap is empty, or like I'm checking the length of the heap. So I'm gonna push on the first value, which will be -2 and 1, 1. And then I'm going to push on the next value. Okay. And then for the last point, we check the length of the heap, and now it's equal to 2. So we want to check if the distance at the top, or if the distance we just computed, which would be 3, or like square root 3, is greater than, 3 is greater than the distance at the top. Okay, it's not, which makes sense. So we don't do anything. But what if it was like 1, 0? Then it would be like a smaller distance. So then we would pop from the heap, like we'd pop the top value, and then we would append like -1, 1, 0. Okay. I think that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, one thing about this part is I don't know if this will like maintain the order of the heap. Or wait, does it matter if we like the order of the points that we return or no?
For now, it doesn't, but I'm glad you asked. Later than never.
Oh, okay. Because I don't think this will like preserve any order because
That's
it's a
correct.
heap.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Time and space, please.
Okay, so the time would be I think wait. I think it's n log k because we're limiting the heap to size k, but we still have to go through n like values.
Yeah.
And then the space would be O of k because we're limiting the size to be k for
Yeah.
the heap.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, this is something which now you did bring up that we can now talk through, which is that it is true that the order is not preserved, and that's fine. However, we can still optimize the time and space even compared to the original solution, that is, while still considering order. So now I'll give you a new restriction, which is that we want to return the points in the order that they appear in the list, the original list. And as a like an intermediate step, I also want to clarify a certain input. So this is one thing that you might not ask. I'll put at the bottom here. So like an example input would be something like let me think, and we'll do okay, and then this will be k equals 2. So you could have 1, 1. Oh yeah, it'll be this. I think this works. K equals -1, k equals 1. Right. So in this case, this is something you didn't clarify. But in this case, you want to return the one that comes earlier, right? So this case is something which you want to return the ones earlier, and this is true even for example if you had, let's say, 0, 0, 0, 0. I can't type, and this is 2. You would still want to return in this case these two over here because they appear earlier. So this is the earliest two that fit the criteria.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, in that case, I don't know if we can still use a heap because I don't think the heap respects the order. Or like, I guess I don't really know how that works. But I don't think that you can control the order after like when you're popping from the heap. So
Okay. Okay, so let's not consider like any time and space. Let's just think about correctness for now.
Okay.
So let's back up on that front.
Okay. I guess like I think like maybe I can sort of build off the first solution, computing like the distances between like the distances for each point. Um, but then like when I'm sorting the list, I need to somehow also sort by the index in which they appear.
Mhm.
So let me think. So if I compute like the distance for each, so it would be 0, and then 0, 0, and 2. Like maybe like as I'm computing the distances, I should also store like the index so that when I'm sorting,
Mhm.
it can also sort by the index, if that makes sense.
Yep, that does make
Like,
sense.
I don't
Yeah.
know, like maybe the second parameter should be the index, like its index in the input list.
Okay.
And then when you
Okay.
sort it, then mm, like when you sort it, if there was a tie, like, because there'd be a tie between these 2 points, right? Because they
Yes.
have, like, they produce like the same distance. But
Correct.
in this case, when a tie is encountered, then it will sort by the second parameter, which is the index. So it
Okay.
will sort, it will produce like this order.
Okay. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss
So
this
then
when
we
you
would
said it
return these
earlier.
two.
Sorry, but did you also say? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. But did you also say that because now
Mhm.
we're preserving the order, a heap won't do? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's continue.
But like I'm not like completely sure. Like
That's
that's
fine.
just
Yeah.
what I
I
think.
know. I know. That's fine.
Okay. 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 Does this solution make sense to you though?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Let's code it up.
Okay. Okay. You can use some of my stuff from the last solution.
Yep, that's totally fine.
Okay. So I'm computing the distance for each point, and then in addition to the distance, I also need the index. Okay, let me see if I can get the index. Okay, and then I'm gonna sort it, and then that should also sort by the index. And then I'm going to um, do the same thing I did here. In this case, the point will be at index 2. So yeah, okay. I think I think that's all I need to change.
Okay, so we're doing the same thing now, except we're sorting. We're sort of the sort here is sorting by the distance
The distance
and
first and then the index.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, are you confident in the syntax?
Let me think.
Just to test.
Yeah,
Okay.
looks right to me.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So notice here that we're so this is basically the same thing as your original solution, right? Oh, actually, no. Before we move on, let's do the time
Yeah.
and space. Sorry, let's do time and space before we move on. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. So the time complexity would be n log n
Mm-hmm.
as we're sorting and we're like iterating through all the points, and then the
Yeah.
space complexity would be O of n.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is the same as the original one, basically, right? Yeah. Exactly the same.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
when you thought about moving from the original solution to your first optimization, um, you thought, okay, we can use a heap, right? Can you explain to me why we
Hmm.
can't use a heap anymore? Like, what is the limitation there exactly?
Well, because we want to preserve the order of the points in the input list, but
Okay.
I don't think that the heap will preserve the order.
Does sorting preserve the order? Sorting doesn't preserve the order
Well,
either. Yet we're doing sorting. So what's the difference?
oh, wait, let me think. sorting does not preserve the order.
Unless you do something about it, which it appears that you have.
Hmm. Yes. But like, yeah, like since I added the index, then I think that should be fine, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So do like maybe we could add the index or the heap solution as well?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually?
Why not?
Okay. I don't know.
I mean, you're the interviewee. You tell me
Oh.
what's doable, what's not.
Oh,
I'm not lying to you, but I can't give you
I
everything.
guess so. Let me think. Okay, so then the index would be the second argument or like parameter, I think. Actually, let me use this example. Oops. Okay, so it's going to be like 0, 0, and then 0, 0, and then -2, 1, 1, 1, and then -2, 2, 1, 1. Okay. So like once I add these two, like the first 2 points in my heap, and then I try to add this one, but I see that this, like the distance we computed is the same as the one at the top of my heap.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like also like the index is bigger, I guess. So then I would disregard this one. But yeah. So then when would I add it into the heap? I guess like if I see a distance that's smaller, then I would pop off the first value.
If you
So,
see one that's smaller,
or like
yeah,
when the distance is bigger because it's like negative. But
sure, yeah.
okay. Oh, like I guess like when I'm popping at the end, then like I need to like I'll have access to the index so I can sort it by index because we want
Yes.
to. Oh, but it's not just sorting by index. Wait, oh.
I mean, yeah,
So at
the
the
thing
end,
about
like,
it.
do we just want to sort by index, like not necessarily like the distances, right?
I mean, what do you mean by not like we still need the distance to be correct? Like they still need to be the k smallest or closest
Yeah,
elements.
yeah, yeah. But I mean like the distances don't have to be in ascending order for the points,
No,
right?
not necessarily. No, they don't have to be. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
it's only for tiebreakers
So,
that you need to take that into account.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then um okay. So then at the end I want to sort by the index. Okay. How do I do that? Let me think. Mm. Let me think about this. So this is
Okay.
what it'll look like at the end. And then I want to get this value first and this value after. But it'll pop from like if this one's at the top of the list, then this will get popped first. So okay. I pop like both of the values maybe. So if I get wait, index and point. Okay, so now I have both the index and the point, and I want to append it to my result. And then I want to sort this by point, or by the index.
By index, okay.
So, okay, so it'll be like result.sort. And then since this is the first value in the tuple, it will sort by this value. And then I actually want to return just the points. So it'll be like return a list of points. Or that work? So I'm like extracting the point for each end result. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense. So you're still sorting
Okay.
by the result after. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But like since the heap is like of size k, then it will be like k log k for this
Yeah,
sort.
it would definitely be a bit weird. But before we talk about complexity, let's just go through the example again. So I mean the one here still
Okay.
stands. So can you just walk me through what would happen in this case?
Okay. So I'm iterating through the points, computing their distance, and then like adding it to the heap. So the first value will get added to the heap, and then like the first two values will get added to the heap because that's when the size is less than k. And then for the last value, I'm comparing the distance computed to the top of the heap. So in this case, the distance computed is the same. So this won't get added to the heap. And then I'm building my result list. So this is what I have in the heap right now. And then I'm going to get the index and the point for each value and then append it to the result list. Or, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then it'll be like 0 and then 0, 0. And then like 1, 1, 1, or square bracket, 1, 1.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to sort it by the index and then return the points.
Okay. And so can you explain the mechanism at which like the reason why we wouldn't in this case add the -1 to this list to the heap in this case? So what is the mechanism that prevents us from doing that?
This statement, like I'm checking if the distance that we computed is greater than the top of the heap. Oh, wait. Yeah. I added that because like the first value of the heap is the distance.
So also it's only if it's greater than the top of the it's only if it's like basically worse. If it's worse than top of the heap, we wouldn't do that. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. No, that's correct. So I'm trying to get to the next point. So that's correct. What you said is correct. So in this case, is it just for this input that'd be correct, or is that going to be true for all inputs? Like for example, what if the tiebreaker? Oh, sorry. What if there's like a duplicate point? Like let's say there's like a 1, 1, like a situation like this again, but it's not the largest. It's not the highest distance. Right? Is that going to be an issue?
Wait, what do you mean?
So let me think. If we have an input, oops, I didn't do that. What did I just do? Where am I? I hit my keyboard lost. Okay, here we are. I'm trying to think of an input that would. So let me think. If we have Okay, let's say we have this as an example. Um,
Okay.
can we walk through this and see what happens?
Okay, so the first value will get added. The distance will be 2, 0, and then 1, 1. Okay. Okay. And then the second value will also get added. And then when we try to add this value, then like the distance will be 0.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh wait. Okay. So in this case, the distance is greater than the top of the heap. So I'm gonna pop from the top of the heap. This value will get popped. Wait, will it?
I mean, you can't guarantee which of those two gets popped because they have the same distance.
Oh yeah. Okay, but we would want this one to get
We
popped.
would want this one, yes, because this has a higher index, right?
Yeah.
But in a heap,
But
if you're not
for
comparing by
heaps,
that,
like, oh, oh yeah.
so it's pretty tricky.
Um, yeah, let me think. Hmm. I'm not really sure how that would work. Like maybe instead of storing these points as two values, they should be stored as one element in the heap
Mm-hmm.
because they have the same distance. And then like inside this tuple, like instead it could be like the tuple would be like distance and then like a list of indices or something along with the points.
Okay.
Um, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but like at least in that case, then like you would only have one value for each distance, and then
Right.
um, like when you encounter a point that's closer, so like the 0, 0, then you can just delete one of the points within this distance. Like you would delete this index and delete this last point in the tuple.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
that makes sense. Okay, I'm happy to. I'm happy to. And do we do the time and space of this one? Do we do time and space of that one? Yeah, it's over here, right? Wait, this is the. I'm expecting this to be at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, because you modified the index. Okay, yeah, so I think we have. Do you have any changes you want to make to the time and space, taking into account the index, and not taking into account our new like discussion here? Just without this discussion, we assume there's going to be maybe some errors with that, but that's okay. But like without considering those, what do you think the new time and space would be? Like, would it change or not?
Like you mean for this solution?
Yeah,
Like the heap solution?
yeah.
No, I don't think so because like the size of the heap is still being limited to K,
Okay,
so I think that's
okay,
fine.
cool.
Okay.
Just write one more note down, and then we can do the post game interview. Okay, cool. So that's that. Pretty
Okay.
interesting question today, I think. And I think he had a pretty. I think he had a
Yeah.
couple points where he did things really quite faster than I expected, which is nice. So we got through a lot of follow ups today, which is always fun. Um, how do you
Yeah.
feel? How do you feel?
I think it was good.
Okay.
Maybe like last time because we also did a heap question,
Right.
so maybe I was like more familiar with this topic.
Okay.
But I think it went fine. Like I was able to get like the first solution with just sorting and then optimize it to use a heap.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah. No, I think overall, I mean, similar in the sense that like you were pushing pretty quickly through the questions. That's always a good thing. And you did slow down a couple points to kind of question if things were like really, what you should assume, what's correct or not. So that's usually a good place to kind of slow down as well. So I think like over on the meta level, that was
Mm-hmm.
pretty well done. But of course, we can talk about some places to improve as well. Okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
the the first one is obviously that you need to ask more questions about the problem. Um, right, like
Okay.
tiebreaker, for example, is one that you just completely missed actually. Right, like whenever, right, like we should be thinking about this in terms of the list of questions you should automatically ask depending on the input type, right? Like you're returning
Mm-hmm.
a sub list of the input, right? Like this is a situation like
Yeah.
this doesn't even matter what the question is. Just like you're returning a list that consists of elements from the input list. Then there's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
tiebreaker if the list is smaller than the input list, right? There's going to be a tiebreaker. How are you going to resolve that, right? So I think again that's just a practice thing. You got to get used to asking these sort of questions because like this is where
Mm-hmm.
Leetcode really kind of falls apart, which is like in Leetcode, there's basically no edge cases. And yeah, that is counterintuitive. A lot of people get caught in the edge cases, but compared to like real life, real problems, like the Leetcode ones are basically all happy cases. They're all straightforward. You immediately understand them, but that's not what a real interview might be looking for, and so you need to be prepared for that, right? So even when you're practicing
Okay.
online or with friends or whatnot, like you should always be thinking to yourself, what are all the possible questions that I would ask if this was a real interview, right? So you just
Okay.
gotta keep that in
Yeah,
mind. That
makes
is
sense.
like a really big deal. And that would have
Okay.
saved you some grief. Now, to be honest though, if you were to ask that at the beginning, I still would have told you that doesn't matter. Return in any order, that's fine. But like at the end, that does matter because that's what the follow-ups are based off of, and that's where the complexity in the question really lies. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
uh, excuse me. Yeah, so first couple stuff, yeah, first impression, that's all fine. Like nothing to say there. It's pretty like it's good that you implement it quickly, right? If it's a simple thing, nothing too much to worry about. Just do it quickly. I think that was very well done. One thing that I will say though is that, and this is depending on your comfort level, if you're having like if you feel like there's a lot of like if you feel like you're just breezing through the problem, you should be looking for like points to improve, right? Like where in the solution that I'm writing out right now that can be improved, right? I'm using a sword. Can this be something else, right? So there is some room
Mm-hmm.
to be to improve even on the naive solution based on your performance, right? So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind there. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
Follow-ups went pretty smoothly. One thing I will say, by the way, very fast intuition with max heap or the min heaps max heap situation. Um, I don't remember the question I asked you last time, but that might have helped. But like still, I think it's good that you were able to pull that out very quickly. That is something which is like if you don't get it, you can't get it. Like you have to just get that, right? Also good
Mm-hmm.
for knowing that Python only has min heaps. I'm not sure if I was the one who told you that, but a lot of people get caught up on that. They'll say, "Hey, I'm assuming that this is a max heap or whatever," and it's like, no, that doesn't exist in Python. What would you do, right? So it's very good you caught onto that, and you know the trick about like just negating that number. So that's very good.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was good. And that's when you caught that the order is not preserved, which I told you it's fine to ignore. And then now we're talking about the real problem, which is that we're preserving the order, right? So this is the actual problem we'll be thinking of here.
Yeah.
Um, there's a couple ways to approach this sort of thing. The first thing you did, which is I think a good meta level decision, which is to back up and think about how we can, think about how we can reduce this new restriction to what we already know. And so that's where you start thinking about your original implementation with a sort. And that's totally a good place to start. That's totally fine. But like again, as you're implementing that, you really want to think about how this can be improved. And there's a couple reasons to say that. The first reason I say that is because I actually just told you that it can be improved, right? I told you that this could still be better than your naive solution. So
Mm-hmm.
you should just
Yeah.
immediately be thinking about, okay, like what is about it? Like obviously you thought of heaps, but you thought heaps wouldn't work. So you should be thinking to yourself, okay, heaps not aren't working. Why aren't they working? It's because I can't get the index. I can't do this. I can't do that. So you should be thinking to yourself why it can or can't work, right? And by the way, that's a really good thing to like vocalize as well. Like talking about, hey, I'm
Right.
thinking about heaps right now. I don't think heaps can work because I can't the index. The index is important because of this and this. If a heap can't work, I'm thinking about the other one. So that's a really good thing to just kind of like voice out, because in this case,
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
a heap does actually work, and it works in the same way that a sort would work. And I think I don't remember if it was you, but it was someone in the past like month or so that I was talking to, who was telling me about sorting in Python. Now Python just completely spoils you with how automatic this sorting algorithm is. And that is because in Python, for any sort, which is like, for example, if you're sorting a list of collections, so a list of, let's say, a list of lists or a list of tuple, a list of anything that's iterable, basically, it has a built-in tiebreaker. It's built in, right?
Yeah.
So it sorts
Yeah.
by the first element, and those are the same, it sorts by the second one. And those are the same, if all two of those are the same, it sorts by the third one, right? So in Python, the sorting tiebreaking is actually built in. And that's something which I believe you were trying to leverage here, but you just didn't quite get, just didn't quite get it right.
Wait,
So
are you talking about the heap solution part? Like the
both,
last part we were trying to do?
both for the heap and the list. So this is generic, but yes, this would be
Oh,
applicable
okay.
to everything. I'll come back to your last proposed solution, but right. So in
Okay.
general, I would suggest you study up on that. Like just read about how Python does sorting,
Okay.
how Python does tie breaking. That's something which is really going to save you time and effort. Now,
Okay.
there's also, so I don't know your like coding background. I don't know like what language is your main language, but in most other languages, it's deceptive. It's both easier and harder. In other languages, usually you would be providing a comparator object, right? So you'd be providing a function essentially, which takes in two items that are in the heap or in the list, and it returns a value corresponding to which one should come first, which one should come last,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Like the
And
custom comparator that we did like a few sessions
yeah,
ago.
maybe it was you, yeah, but like
Yeah.
yeah, so that's available in Python as well, by the way. But
Oh, yeah.
um,
I forgot about that.
that's something which would solve the problem here because you write a function which
Yeah.
compares the distance and then compares the index, right? And that would make it so that it's like a plug and play solution for your heap. You don't need to change anything at all, basically. Okay, so that's something which you need
Yeah.
to just keep an eye out on because that's basically what the interviewer is looking for is like, okay, do you actually understand how sorting works? Do you understand the criteria I laid out, right? Um, in Python, it's a bit more difficult because I don't think the heap takes in a custom comparator. You have to use the implicit one built into the sorting algorithms in Python. Um, and the other one, which is more advanced, but I would recommend you maybe take a look at as well, which is you can subclass objects with basically a comparable interface, and then the Python says, oh, this is an instance of comparable, then I'll run your function instead of my default one. So that would have been another thing you could have done to get out of this pickle. So there's a couple ways to get out of it, basically. But yeah, none of them are too trivial if you don't
Okay.
understand how Python works in that regard.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll say is about your proposed solution. So this is, of course, the third option, which is obviously an option, is don't use the built-in things. You roll my own stuff, and I respect that because it's always fun. But let's talk about that. So yes, I think this would have worked, but you need to be very specific with the language. Okay, so the reason this wouldn't work based on what you said is that you cannot like when you anything over here when you add something to the heap, you can't know if that distance already exists. That's the issue, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the question is, okay, how
Yeah.
would you know if the distance already exists? So that's basically the question that you would have to figure out. Now, obviously, there's a couple ways around that. A really easy way around that is just by maintaining object references, right? So you can have like distances equals this, and have like zero object, or that's not zero, that's one, right? One object, right? And then say,
Yeah.
okay, and then you say, oh, if it doesn't exist, let's add it to this list. Let's add distance two, and I have my point. That's like I can't think of something that's 4 oh that's distance two, right? So this is one way you can kind of do it to maintain a separate data structure on top of your heap, right? But
Yeah.
that's really cumbersome, and that's not really elegant of a solution. But it would work. It would work, but you just didn't think of that in time, right? So there's a couple ways to get out
Yeah.
of it, but I think this one just really comes down to missing some details about the sorting algorithm. So that's sort of that's sort of all the feedback. Any questions or comments on your side?
No, that made sense. So like the solution you were looking for was to implement like a custom comparator thing for tie-breaking for the heap.
That would have been the most reasonable one. However, you could have also got me
Okay.
by just saying, okay, heap push, first object is a comparator, so distance and then negative index. You could have said, okay, I'm gonna, what do you call it? Oh, you have to enumerate it, so it'd be like index.
Oh yeah, I didn't do it yet. Yeah.
Right. But like I would have set to this as well, but you would have to explain
Okay.
to me why this is correct. And you would have to explain to me how the tie breaking works exactly. And this is something which I would ask, okay, well, if this is correct, why wouldn't you do it for this, or why wouldn't you do it for the previous solution? So I would say this would have also been accepted, but based on what you had shown me, that would have been a bit more like I would have asked more questions, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. That
But
makes
the
sense.
custom compared
Okay.
one would always be accepted because that's like a generic programming concept, right? That like I don't need to
Mhm.
doubt how
Yeah.
you know that. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
cool.
Thank you for the feedback.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Anything else last minute? Otherwise, will you just end it here?
Okay. Yeah. We'll end it here. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you later.
Yes.
Okay.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye. Okay. That is that. There was somebody here. Leetcode Reddit Leetcode account. Yeah, it's pretty fun stuff. I mean, this question is really popular, really commonly asked. I think it's a good question. I think it's a good. I think it's one that has a lot of good follow ups, and I didn't even get to the fun follow ups today. So maybe next time we'll get there. Discord link is broken. All right, let me make a new one for you, buddy. Invite people. Use copy button. Does it work today? It does. Oops. Where's my description? All right, the link is updated. Cool. But anyways, we'll just transition to resume reviews. We'll transition to resume reviews, and then we'll get on that. So let's see. Where is it? Resume review. Resume review. Here it is. Submit resume. Pin. Where's my description? Pin. I can't pin the message. I still can't pin the message. I can pin the message. There we go. Close all those guys. Close that. You don't want to know the other follow-ups. I mean, you probably do because that helps you prepare, but I get what you mean. This is a Leetcode medium question, but the follow-ups go all the way through ICPC, so it goes pretty hard. Submit resumes in pinned comment back at 13:05. All right, I'll see you guys in a minute. And I'm back. All right, let's see. What did people do? Today's date, 7/12. Okay. 7/12. What is this? Not from any Discord. Well, welcome to the stream. Surprised you found it. This guy's. Oh, he's not even from here. Okay, cool. Backend engineer system. Okay, so if you're going to that location, which I won't dox you, but if you're going to that location, I don't really have too much advice. I do have advice. I do have experience getting offers in Europe, but mostly Switzerland and the UK. So I don't think I have too much advice for you, but I can still have a look at your resume, obviously. All right. All right. Let's take a look. Oh, next time you should use a darker highlight. This highlight is still visible, or this blackout. It's just a highlighter, I think. Okay. It's always cool seeing what people in other parts of the world use. Like these, for example. Well, not Docker. These. Okay. Blah blah. Base video encryption, 20K videos per month. Multiple issues processing. Okay, I will probably if you're talking about transcoding services, I would probably categorize this as like throughput and not just videos per month. Like, what's the bit rate? What's the sum of the bit rate of your processing? Like, can do like 120,000 videos per month. But what kind of videos? Are like just short cat videos, or like Zoom recording? So I think the bit rate here matters. I think that might be good to put in. Okay, I don't know. I think those points are a bit weaker. In general, I think unit test points or testing points in general are kind of weak, unless you can talk about like how this had impact. Like, you guys just had too many end-to-end issues before. Now we add end-to-end tests. Now it's good. That could be good, but I think otherwise it's a bit unmotivated. Cloud for R2, Prometheus. That's some pretty cool stuff. No front end, right? So you're going for back end systems. I think the backend here is pretty cool. Systems, I think, is still lacking. I'm not seeing much design. We have multi-tenant service. That's good. This is analogous. That's backend. What is this? Data modeling tool for IAM. You're here for. Oh, actually, okay, never mind. It's only a short time. Okay, that's fine. I think this is fine. I mean, not too much to say. I think it's a pretty generic resume. A project with testing. I don't know. I think that's trying too hard. Yeah, I think this is a pretty generic resume. I don't have much advice. I don't really know what to tell you to do because you are in a different part of the world. So, sorry about that. Wish it could be more helpful, but I just don't know much about that area, so I'd rather just not give bad advice. Submit a resume 20. Oh, that was you. Okay, cool. Why does resume upload only support images? Because PDFs are executable, and I don't want to get hacked. This guy's comment is, by the way, welcome from TCN. Incoming second year, looking mainly for full stack suite, ideally backend. Interested in improvements for that area. So backend improvements. Okay. Mainly targeted full stack. Okay, gotcha. Man, Ontario, BC, 726. Okay, let's have a look. City state. Oh, wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, so you submitted two of them. Were they the same ones? Same ones, okay. I don't know why it says state, but whatever. Okay. Filtration system. TypeScript svelte. CRM table. Accurately sending. I would quantify. If you would use accurate, I would quantify that. Improve leap rates for by 22%. Okay, that's good. And input data flows to avoid input data flows. Okay. CRM table interpreter. Okay, I believe that. Cross-functional outcome, product designers. Okay. This is still ongoing. So That makes sense. I would definitely look into adding more stuff here. I mean, like you're saying you want to do back end and stuff. This is definitely not a back end role from what I can tell. So see if you can get any more experience. You still got like a month and a half maybe to kind of get in there, do some back end if possible. So it's not over yet. Okay, so let's take a look at this. That's 210 stuff. What is this? Okay. What is this? Chrome extension. Okay. What is this? Machine. Okay. Okay. So interested in improvements for backend. Okay. So first of all, the resumes. It's talking about the stuff you're doing. That's not too big of a deal. We need some backend projects here. That's what we need, right? Like this is backend. This is good. I'll get back to that. This is back end, but this is not very like this is more like API wrangling and less like serious backend stuff. Like that's actually totally cool for like discussion points and stuff. But realistically speaking, if you were to have a real backend project, I would probably cut this. Down to like maybe 2 points max. I mean, like just give you a bit of perspective, right? Like, I mean, let's look at this point. Like these 2 points. So use Python and Discord API to handle real-time interactions and multiple API calls with asynchronous programming. Like if you think about it, what does this actually say? This says that you use Python, you use the Discord API, and you can program. Right? Like it's not a skill to quote unquote handle real time interactions. It's not a quote unquote it's not a real skill to do asynchronous programming. So like that's just like a given. Like if you can program APIs, everything is asynchronous. Like you're not gonna block the entire app waiting for 100 millisecond ping API, right? So like if you look at what this point says, this point doesn't give you any information that is not already here, right? That's how you should be thinking about it. Like this one as well. You use SQLite and you used CRUD. Like there's no information, right? The SQLite, okay, you have it here, and how are you gonna interact with SQLite? Well, you're gonna if you have a backend, which you do in this case, you have a Python backend, you're gonna use SQLite, right? So I don't think so. Again, like these 2 points are examples of points that just don't have any information. So go through your resume, look at the points that just don't convey information, and get rid of those. Once you have a real backend project. Okay, so backend project. Let's talk about that now. Okay, this is a good start. It's got some real backend. It's got a real framework. It's got a real database. You got some deployment going on, right? That's good. It's a good start, but we got to see more, right? So some things that are really good to see in backend projects. One, for example, is about the actual entire flow. So I know you're not targeting full stack, but some things in backend still matter, right? So you talk about Docker here, right? There's a lot more you can talk about in terms of Docker. Like for example, you're using Docker to deploy the SQL database. Yeah, makes sense. Totally makes sense. How about Spring, right? Where's Spring deployed? Is Spring also in Docker? Is it deployed to AWS? Like how's that working, right? What else is there? Other common backend things I want to see. I want to see an authentication system. I want to see, you can use Spring Boot auth. It's a bit overkill. It's probably a bit difficult for a second year. You just use something dead simple. Use Keycloak, for example. So the previous guy used Keycloak. Use something dead simple, works. You can put in the resume, right? So you can think about it from that perspective. This is a good place to start, but there's a lot of features and a lot of functionality that you can add to make this a more full-fledged backend project, right? So that should be your main focus. And then after that, you can cut out like half your points elsewhere, and then you have a much more solid backend focused resume. So that's my advice on that front. Hopefully that helps. Okay, next, this guy. All right, this guy's comment. Robotics Computer Vision 2026 asked if you think I should get rid of the tech consulting internship. Where is that? This one here, okay. To make space for a robotic art simulation project and add points to the existing product design team. Okay, where are you? You are here. Okay. Computer vision robotics. Oops, I didn't mean to use green. Okay. CUDA C, C++, split that out. This is current. Okay. Okay. Python base, okay. What's that? I saw Zilix on it, like unironically. Holy cow. MERN, okay. Robotic arm simulation project. Let me see. Let me see your current projects. Search team member. Neural net. What are you doing? Oh, you're doing this computer vision. Okay. RTOS. Psychic. No, nice, nice. Okay, so I would say there's merit. If you're going for computer vision, if you go robotics, 100%. I would say overall, yeah, I would get rid of that for a project. In fact, what I would probably do is because, but here's the thing, right? So the merit for keeping this on is that it shows that you have work experience from a long time ago, which is good. Like you want to have as much work experience as possible. Not just in like how many times you're working, but just like since when you were working. So what I would probably do is I would probably leave just a header on and just have no points underneath it. So that way, there's at least something to look at, and then if it comes up, you can ask about it. But I think, especially for ATS purposes, that could be good for your points. But to say that you're working since a long time ago, so for that reason, I would keep it on, but I would get rid of the point. And I don't know exactly what points you have for your robotics simulation, but hopefully it fits in that area. And your second question was adding points to the existing project/design team. I would say in general that's not too necessary. So this one, I mean, I see Ross too. I see some stuff over here. There's some robotics thing here for sure, right? So if it's highly topical, like that's very robotics focused, I would say yeah, definitely put it in there. And in fact, what I would do personally is I would actually just get rid of this point, get rid of this point. Just don't have points. Like points are useless. Just don't have points. And then just so that will save you 2 points of space basically, and then you can put in your points either about your robotic simulation or about your design team. I think this is the only one that is actually quite relevant. It's talking a lot about the robotics kind of side of things, which I think is good. The other two are not relevant, I would say. RTOS can be used for some robotics, but it doesn't look like you did anything that's robotics focused. And neural nets can be good for computer vision, but it seems like that's not your exact focus here. So I would say yes to both with caveats. All right, last one for today. It seems. If you haven't submitted your shit yet, be sure to get that in before I finish with this guy, because otherwise I'm out. All right, this guy's comment. Looking to break into big tech like Meta or something. Honestly, I have zero idea how to make that step and get those sort of interviews. Where are you now? You're at safe. Safe to Meta is a stretch. Safe to Meta is a stretch. Doable, but it's a stretch. Because Meta is not in Vancouver. So that's a stretch. So you have to be very good. Safe to Amazon's doable. Safe to Amazon's doable. Amazon's local. Safe to Microsoft is doable. Realistically speaking, you probably go so safe to Microsoft, safe to Amazon, and then from there to Meta if your goal is Meta. But if your goal is Meta, I would probably deter you from going there. It's kind of a mid company. Okay, let's take a look. Let me just make sure that I'm reading this right. Winter and summer 26 co-op program. Oh, you're in co-op. Then where's your co-op header, huh? I'm kidding. What is this? Huh? I didn't read this already? What? I mean, what's changed since last time? This is the same thing, no? I don't know. It looks the same to me. No, I mean, I look at it. I think there's too much bolding. I think there's too much bolding because yeah, I think there's too much bolding. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. But I think there's a bit too much bolding. I would probably cut the bolding by like 20-25%. Like for example, I don't think you need to bold Postgres. I don't think you need to bold Fast API or Next.js. I think you can bold something like that's okay. That's understandable. Gemini wouldn't bold. This you can bold. That's pretty good, right? This is pretty good. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. So I think there's definitely some like quantitative stuff you can definitely bold. I think that's good. I think that I think the other stuff is not like OpenCV MediaPipe. Don't bold that. It's already over here, right? So I think it's a bit overdone. So, at least a little bit overdone. anyone else submitted? One guy here. See a comment. How much do you think the company you're at can help you get better placements? I haven't done anything progressively harder since the last internship. The company can help, but not necessarily. Like, okay, I want to answer this a bit carefully because I want to be very, very precise with language here. Okay, so the company can help. It can help a lot. However, there's two reasons for that, and I want to make sure the second one is clear. The first reason is obvious. The name is good, right? And the interviews are hard, which means that if you pass an interview and you work there, because you pass an interview, and you can't work without passing an interview, right? So you pass an interview, you work there, so other people know, oh, this person has passed the interview. They must at least be okay. And of course, that's the first reason. It's very, very obvious, right? Okay. However, the second reason, which is a reason that you can control, right? You can't control if you pass an interview, realistically speaking. But you can control about the second part, which is when you're at your given work and your given employment, especially if you're at those big companies, what you can do is you are more exposed to difficult and interesting work. The scale of work is different. The type of people working there is different. The problems people solve are different. And I mean different in both good and bad ways. But what that means is that there's a lot more opportunity. There's a lot more mixing and mingling that you can have when you're at those sort of companies. And that second, softer kind of undertone is, I think, a really underrated reason why some people who go to those companies stay at those companies and they kind of jump up from there. And that's because it's not just the name. The name obviously helps. No one's going to deny that, right? No, the name obviously helps. But the part that's underrated is the fact that people are able to be exposed to more problems, which helps them grow personally. Right, like when you see when you see people solve hard problems, you learn from it. You're given more opportunity to solve hard problems, and that helps you grow. So that aspect is also replicatable outside of like FANG and stuff, but it's just more difficult, right? Like you need to put in more effort to get the same exposure to the problem. So I would say that's a less understood reason why I think that does help. Now I think that now. So that's answer your question literally. Now, what I think your actual question is what can I do about it, right? So okay, so what can you do about it? So most people aren't at those companies and live perfectly happy lives, right? But let me tell you something that you can do that's really, really important is seize the social opportunities, right? So these are things that aren't like, oh, let's go to happy hour. No, like that shit's worthless. The important thing is, okay, there's a design meeting going on. How do you get in that meeting? Right? Like, how do you make sure that you are present where important things are happening? Right? Get in those meetings. Ask to be part of those design. Be part, like, get a reputation. Go to those committees. Right? Like, make sure you're in the room when those things happen. Like, when people say, you want to make sure you're the stupidest person in the room. Like, you need to try harder to make sure you're the stupidest person in the room, but you can still do it. There's still a lot to learn everywhere. And a big thing is just, just maintain an open mind. Like, learn a lot of diverse skills at the beginning to make sure that you can cover your bases. Like, do you really like front end? Do you really like back end? Right? Find what you like, and then once you find what you like and you're willing to spend time and effort, go really, really deep into that domain that you like, because what's employable is depth of knowledge and not just breadth of knowledge, right? Like, for example, and I'm not trying to pick on this guy, right? I'm just using an example. If you look at this person's skill section, you can basically tell, but like using this section alone and how long they've been working, you can basically tell, okay, this like I just know this person's depth of understanding, right? And a big part of that really comes down to, okay, are you just using all the different languages, using all the different skills? What are the projects you're doing? What is the work you're doing? Like, what level of this tool are you using, right? Like, let's just say, for example, the first thing, Python. The difference between someone who uses Python for Leetcode and someone who actually knows how Python works is so monumental, it's hard to describe, right? And so every one of these skills that people put on, there's a really, really, not all of them have like steep learning curves, but there's a really big variance between people who know it enough to quote unquote put it on the resume versus people who are like contributing to it, people who know what's going on, people who know the trade-offs, the downsides, etc. Right? Like, that's a really big difference. So get breadth, and then once you figure out what you like, go deep. Why is Meta mid? I'm assuming this compared. Oh, that's mostly a joke. Meta is obviously a fantastic company, and most people who don't work there want to work there, right? What I will say about Meta that's overrated is is that there's a lot of like there's a lot of internal competition and a lot of like politics that are going on right now, and that really comes down to the fact that their ranking like for employees is pretty harsh. Like people rag on Amazon all the time for having stack ranking. Dude, Amazon is a cakewalk compared to some other stuff that you'll see around here. Especially their, I think Amazon's like pit rate is like what 5% or something. Like that's not very much. That's not very much. So I think Amazon gets a lot more blame than they deserve. I think Meta doesn't get as much blame as they deserve. So I think people who don't work there just have an inflated opinion of it. And by the way, just want to be clear. I mean, I have many friends at Meta. They're all having a good time, right? So it's not like the entire company's bad. It's gonna crash. No, no, no. It's just that once you're at this level and you have choices. Like for example, I turned down many Meta offers. Like you don't need to glaze anybody anymore, right? Like oh, I've seen it. I've seen it from the inside. I've seen it from the outside. It's just another company, and the stack ranking kind of sucks. My last internship got cut short because of surgery I had. Oh, hopefully recovered well. As a result, I was stuck on meaningless work where I was just porting ETE tests from one framework to another. I'm also working on ETE for this internship too, but it's at a much bigger company now, and I'm more involved in actually creating the framework for it. I think merging points are stagnant. I mean, if you're at a much bigger company and you're doing framework for ETE, then that's obviously more to talk about. I don't like. I mean, sure, you're still doing ETE, but at least there should be more to talk about. I don't think that alone is a reason to consider the quote unquote point stagnant. Being at a big as early career wise, being at a bigger company is almost always better for most people. So that's a good litmus test. All right, what did I have here? Okay, this guy. What is this guy? Okay. This guy's comment is, any software job, front end and back end. Oh, you're not from here as well. Okay, so again, I'm not a doxy. I won't say where you're from, but I don't know that market, so I can still review your resume, but I can't give you any advice. I don't know what people they're like. I don't know what employers are looking for, right? So I can't comment on that. Okay. I'd probably split that out into 2 languages. Okay, so one thing I will say that's missing here is that you have no dates. So these projects should just all have dates. And I know you have GitHub, but GitHub is not a date because recruiters will not look at your GitHub. I'm sorry, recruiters do not care. That I do know about your country. I don't know much about your country, but I do know that recruiters there will not look at your GitHub. Okay. This okay, interesting. Okay, so these are what I think is good is that these are all deployed projects. Like they all have websites. They're all deployed. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. Many members, blah blah. Okay. Yeah, I mean these are pretty standard generic stuff. I do like that they're actually all full stack. This is you got some you got Express on this one. This one's Spring Boot, which I think is good. Spring Boot Vercel. I mean they're just all product. I mean I don't know if this is advice, but what I would say is these 3 projects appear to be at about the same level, and that's good for like some breadth and a showcase that you can replicate your skill. But I would probably still say that like I think it's overall still more impressive if you can focus on one project and just really go deep into that one project, right? So for example, one thing I'm not seeing here is I'm not seeing authentication, and I might have misread. I might not know what these things are. I don't think I missed it though. Yeah. So I don't think you have authentication. So I think that would be a great addition to any backend system as authentication. One thing I would like you to speak more about is I would like to see a lot more talking about performance. So for example, the description now is pretty surface level. For example, using Postgres Redis, Dockerized Postgres. That's cool, but I want to talk about scale. So like, okay, using Postgres, are you using any of the fancy Postgres features? Like, so I don't know what this thing is. I mean, I presume you get some like food data or whatever, but like, okay, can you talk about how you design your tables? Can you talk about how you improve the design of your tables? Can you talk about like what indices you might have made or whatever? So I think there's a bit more to be, like you can drill down a little bit more about some of the details on the back end, and that could be good, to improve like discussion about a project. Because right now, frankly, a lot of these things are pretty surface levels, pretty basic, and these points in general don't give much more information than just this one line over here. Like I can read this one line, I know exactly what's going on, right? Um, Front end wise, I won't say too much about it. One thing I will say that I think could be cool is, excuse me. Yeah. By the way, website is like the ultimate front end check. Is like, okay, you're going for a front end role. I'm gonna click on a website and it better be good, right? So that's good. I mean, I don't know if it's good or not, but I mean, you're confident to put it out, so it's probably good. Um, there are some other things that I will say about front end that are also, I would say, good to talk about. So front end performance is a good one, right? What is the time to first paint? What is the time to first action? What is your contextual paint time, right? Or you talk about things like, for example, accessibility. And now in your country, I don't know if they care about accessibility. Probably not, to be honest. But over here, a lot of people put on their WCAG 2.0, AA, AAA certifications. Like, oh, I got this AAA, accessibility rating because I focus on that. That could be a really good thing to talk about as well. So those are just ideas. I'm not saying you should do them necessarily, but those are just ideas for you to explore. But in general, I think these three products, they make sense. Nothing really to call out. They're fairly basic, but like the products are basic, but they're all complete projects. They all have a website, which is good. They all have a GitHub, which is good, and they all have a front end and back end, which is good. So, I mean, I'd say you're off to a good start here, but there's definitely more to be had in terms of depth for each project. So yeah, keep it up. Okay, let's see the comments. I was really hoping to get a breadth of different technical skills, and now I'm just worried to look like I was in QA testing internships. Yeah, so that's a branding thing. So one thing I will say about that is make sure you talk about the framework discussions. Make sure you talk about some of the non-trivial writing tests, because writing the test is the easy part of the job, right? The hard part of the job is to figure out what test to write, to quantify the impact of your test, to figure out how to write tests in the future more easily. That's the interesting part of the testing role. So if you can focus your attention on that, that would be really good. Okay. Will it look like a QA testing internships? Yeah, I mean, it will look like that, but again, that's about branding. Like, how well are you able to talk about the fact that you were doing other stuff as well? So I think people these days especially are more like forgiving of seeing that on the resume. So that's not like a death sentence or anything. Do you do one-to-one calls or mentoring? I mean, technically yes, but it's on pause right now. I'm partnered with Boba Talks. I'm partnered with Boba Talks to give talks, to give mentoring. Let me see if I'm on their website. Boba Talks mentors. What the fuck is this? Oh, this is the main website. Yeah, so this is me. You can click the book button. Actually, I won't open that because that opens my calendar. But you can click that and speak to me. It's booked out a little bit right now. I'm not taking stuff right now because I'm busy right now, a bit busy. But yeah, like you can still book. It'll just be like in 4 months or whatever. But you can still book it. Like it's fine. I won't hate you or anything. I've not done an auth project. Yeah, I think auth is very important. Auth does two things. Auth, if you have working authentication, that means two things. First of all, that means you're not stupid, because your backend is functional, right? Like one thing that's hard to fake is authentication. So authentication, if it works, that means you know what's going on. It might not be good, but you know what's going on. So that's like a really important litmus test. Like if I click to your website and there's like a sign in with Google button, I'm like, okay, good. This person understands Keycloak or they understand something, right? I understand just like so basic. Well, I'm having a stroke. Yes, I do understand. They are like very basic when I get to the front door for now. Yes, I think that's a good approach. But I think again, you can break in a bit easier if you just focus on one of these. Like just pick one of these three that you like more. Just pick one, and just go really deep into one of them. I'm on Boba Talks. Yes, I am. Been on there for a while. By the way, for dates like the thing, I did these like very far apart. One is 2024, one is 2025. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. I mean, the truth is, you're pretty GitHub there. People are gonna tell that anyways. I would say put the dates anyways, because that at least gives the other people an idea for how long you've been working on full stack stuff. Generally speaking, actually, in this context, if you don't have employment especially, you want this to go back as far as possible to let people know, hey, you've been doing this since the start of university, you're doing this since high school, you've been doing this since you were like a like whatever, right? So I think that's not a downside to go back, but that is caveated by saying that I don't know what's going on in your country. Right? I don't know if the people in your country are really like ageist, like they don't want to see things from a long time ago. I don't know that, right? So I can't say anything. But personally, I would put the dates on. Okay, that's all. Let's see. Anything else? Nothing else. Okay, nothing else. Then that's all for today. Stream is